Arrogant, prideful, and selfish, Vegeta from Dragon Ball is introduced as a villain whose main defining trait winds up being his envy. He's extremely envious of Goku, but if Vegeta has taught me one thing, it is that envy doesn't necessarily have to be this terrible feeling that eats you up from the inside. It can actually be used as something positive, as fuel to better ourselves, because it gives us insights on what our desires are and where they come from. In other words, envy is information. It is the resentment aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or successes, but only those that we personally value. An important distinction to make, as it reflects your personal desires and informs you of what it is that you admire, and understanding why you admire those things will allow you to question the reasons behind them. Vegeta's envy towards Goku is a direct reflection of his values, and the what here is very straightforward. He envies Goku's power, for always being a step ahead, and also for killing his greatest enemy, Frieza, consequently stealing his opportunity to take revenge on the one responsible for destroying his entire planet and wiping out the Saiyan race. But why does Vegeta care about all of this? Answering this why is what allows one to challenge and question the values behind those desires and to see if they are coming from a healthy place. Born to royalty and with prodigious talent, Vegeta was pushed to become the greatest Saiyan warrior. As a result, his self-worth ended up being tied down to his strength and power as a fighter. That is how Vegeta sought his validation growing up and why he cares so much about surpassing Goku. He always had it his way among his peers, whether it was Nappa or Raditz. But all of that changed when he met Goku and why he became Vegeta's target of envy. However, as time passed by, Vegeta realized that there was actually something he valued more than surpassing his rival. After Goku sacrificed himself during the Cell Saga, Vegeta became aimless. His target of envy was his end goal and it had just disappeared. And if you watched the Dragon Ball Z series, you would know that Goku returns in the Majin Buu saga. And it is during that period that Vegeta goes through the most compelling character development in all of Dragon Ball Z. Triggered by Goku's display of power during the Yakon fight, Vegeta's urge to prove himself and to seek validation all comes back. And that is when he becomes desperate. So desperate for power that he allows the villain, Babidi, to take control of him so he could trap Goku into fighting him. And he succeeds. But after going toe-to-toe with Goku and creating one of the most iconic rivalry fight scene in anime history, Vegeta ends up realizing that fighting and beating Goku simply cannot fill the emptiness inside of him. That his love for his family was actually the thing he valued most. And no matter how corny that may sound, it was truly a fascinating development for a character who was always portrayed as selfish and arrogant from the very beginning. Envy was able to bring awareness to what Vegeta truly valued most, and his development showed us that we can also learn from the person we envy if we become aware enough to not be blinded by resentment. The action item of lesson number 1 is to ask yourself what it is that you envy from others. Becoming aware of your desires will give you a clearer vision of what you are aiming at, but asking yourself why you desire those things will help you challenge your values behind them, allowing you to truly determine whether those targets of envy are worthy of being aimed at. The second thing that Vegeta has shown through his character development is that envy often comes from a scarcity mindset. In Vegeta's mind, the stronger Goku was, the weaker he became. Goku's success was mutually exclusive with his own. And not only is that a fallacy, it is also a very dangerous misconception to have. One's personal success is really independent from anyone else's. Fortunately, Vegeta learned this with time as his rivalry with Goku ended up pushing him to become stronger than he could ever imagine. Without Goku, Vegeta would have never been able to achieve the power level that he possesses today. Another interesting thing about envy is that it is only felt when the counterpart is perceived as being similar to us in a way. This similarity can be quite arbitrary, but it basically suggests that whatever they possess, we can obtain it too because we are similar enough to allow for that comparison. It gives us the impression that if it is possible for them to do it, it should be possible for us too. But this arbitrary measurement to determine whether one is valid for comparison or not is truly a double-edged sword. On one side, it signals what can be, but on the other, it signals what is not. The latter is what causes the feeling of lack, because it's basically telling us that we should be able to do it, but we failed to do so, likely because we're not good enough. And faced with this feeling, we have two options in front of us. We can either feel resentment and seek to destroy our source of envy, or use it as inspiration to lift ourselves up. Vegeta has tried the former without success, and rightfully so. It is just not an effective method, as you would have to destroy everyone that is similar and better than you. It is just not realistic. But when Vegeta uses Goku for extra motivation to become stronger, he was able to reach heights never imagined before. So the action item of lesson number 2 is to apply an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity one. Remind yourself that your success is independent from others. The successes of others are not your failures, so you should leverage them for inspiration to bring yourself to new heights. And as the prince of the prideful Saiyan race, Vegeta never resorted to self-pity no matter how lacking he felt because of his envy. It is so easy to play the victim card when we don't have things going our way, to blame the unfairness of the world and to not take any action. But Vegeta understands that wallowing in self-pity is a complete waste of time without action. To avoid self-pity created by envy, it is valuable to be prideful and to retain a high opinion of ourselves. In a way, pride is the perfect antidote to the feeling of lack that envy creates. Remember that what you have now was once among the things you only hope for. A quote from Epicurus about gratefulness, but is also a reminder that we already possess things of value, whether external or internal. Becoming a Super Saiyan was Vegeta's end goal for a very long time. There was literally nothing more important to him during that time other than becoming a Super Saiyan. But then came Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan Blue, and now Ultra Ego. Your definition of success can and will fluctuate as time goes on, and it would have been unfortunate for Vegeta to have given up at an earlier point in time. But thankfully, his pride did not allow him to settle and instead pushed him to keep training and to avoid self-pity at all costs. So the action item for this last lesson is that you should be prideful in regards to your capabilities, as it is the perfect antidote to the feeling of lack that envy can create. It may try to push you towards self-pity as a defense mechanism, but by using pride as a reminder of your existing value, it will stop you from self-pity and from not taking action. In the end, envy, like all emotions, isn't bad or toxic by itself. It is how we respond to these emotions that determines whether it is positive or negative. The character of Vegeta reminds us that it is normal to feel envy, that envy can actually become our strength and our fuel for motivation, so we can keep pushing to overcome our own personal limits. Not to be number one, but to just be better.